afternoon again. Welcome back from the break. Hope your mind is refreshed. Now it's time to move to the next paper. The next paper of manufacturing, the one for November 2009. The next paper for manufacturing, the one for 2009. This one says manufacturing question 3. You see, it's again 55 marks, and 55 out of 300, it's a lot of marks. So it means if you can master this topic well, you'll be able to get this total of 55 out of 300. It serves a certain percentage. Then we're saying Bokona bean manufacturers. You are provided with the information related to Bokana bean manufacturers for the year ended 28 February 2009. The business make and sell only one type of product, namely plastic rubbish bins. Required, prepare the following notes of the production cost statement. Raw material cost, direct labor cost, factory overheads. Oh, somebody, when he saw direct raw material cost, he remembers OPEC. Then, number one of which is direct raw material, we must go to our question, information, additional information. The paper starts here, information. Units produced, 58 bins were produced during the financial year. Then these are the stock balances. Balances meaning opening and closing, obviously. 208 and 209. Which one comes first? 208. It means you're opening at this side and you're closing at that other side. Then here it's additional information. This time around I've decided to come up with my answer sheet. Answer sheet for you not to get lost. Now you go to your information, the first information, where you start with your openings and your closing. Here is your answer sheet. Here are the first question, and here is your answer sheet. On the answer sheet, you start by doing OPEC. O, P, C, and C. Remember to skip a line here for the addition. Here it's your OPEC under the direct. OPEC meaning opening. And then this is your purchases. Opening. Come to your balances. I said 209 and 208. The one that begins, it's for 209. And the opening in 209 for the raw material is how much? 57,900. There you are. Here is your opening. And your closing, you immediately bring it here so that you don't forget. Your closing is 34,200. Remember to do what? To put it in a bracket. So this will be your closing because you subtracted. And this will be your carriages. There we go. Then we have opening, we have closing. You already have your 2 marks. Then moving to the purchases. Under this sheet, do we see any additional information for purchases? No. Moving to the next page. The next page is here. The first one, raw material purchases for cash and on credit. That means it's the total for the purchases there. Therefore, you put it here. I normally say you open a bracket before to be on the safe side. You don't even know it has an adjustment, open a bracket. Alright. And then, becoming defective raw material returned to supplier. If you bought something, then you return. It means it reduces whatever that you have bought. Therefore, you must subtract from your purchases. You must subtract those returns of how much? 23,001. You must subtract those returns of 23,100. Then you close the bracket. Let's see. Carriages. So the next one is carriages. So it means with your purchases, you are done. Then you take your calculator. You start and say, my purchases of 1,622,700 minus minus the returns of 23,100, you will be having, you start with this one first, you will have 1,599,600. So before you can work everything out, you must start with the one for the adjustment for the returns. Remember, I said the returns must be subtracted because they reduce the number of purchases you have. If you bought 6 apples, then the 1 apple is damaged, then you take it back to the supplier. It means you'll be remained with 5. It means the 1 apple is not adding your purchases, it's subtracting your purchases. Therefore, you will have that total. Then coming to carriages. Carriages on raw material, 28,800. Then you write it here, 28,800. Then you add all the 3 things. After adding all the 3 things, you will have 57,900 plus 1,599,600 plus 28,800. Therefore, your total will be 1,686,300. I hope that's what we are getting. Then you less your closing. Your closing will be 34,200, and then you will have a total of 1,652,100. So you will be having your 7 marks. Remember, even if you can have something wrong in the middle, this mark, this total mark, this one is marked and circled to show that you have added. So remember to write the total and the correct one. Remember to write and add everything accordingly to get to the correct marks. So you will be able to collect more marks by just adding what you have got. That is we give you marks for adding what you have got. So you'll have that 1 mark there, and then it will be marked accordingly. Remember, I said they will mark your opening and your closing, and they will mark these things. And this will be circled to show that we have added. Remember, I said there can be a mistake. Somebody might add here instead of subtracting. Then your carriages are there, and then you'll be having 2, 4, 5, 6, and then your 7 mark will be for the carriages. It's not marked here. Yeah. Then it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's so easy to get your 7 marks. You get your 7 marks as easy as that. Then I'm moving to the second question. The second question, again, it says you must prepare direct labor cost. Direct labor cost. You come to your answer sheet and try to think direct labor cost who are directly involved in the production process. Who are directly involved in the labor production process. Then we have our factory wages. Who are those people? People who are directly involved. We come to the answer to the question paper. Then they said we are looking for the directly involved people. Foreman, factory foreman. Is this person directly involved? No, he's not directly involved because he's a foreman. It means the production can go on even if he's not at duty. Office workers. This person, the production can go on even if it's not at work. So it means this one, it will go to factory overheads. And the next one, it will go to admin because he works in the office. Then we have office. These are the salaries and these are the wages. I hope you know the difference between the salaries and the wages. And then wages, we have office, it's still admin. We have factory workers in production process. They say you should see what? Information 4. See information 4. So now this is what we are looking for. We must come here. Information 4. Information 4 is here. They say factory workers in the production process. Number of factory employees working directly onto the bins. This is people. Number of people. Number of employees. This number of employees. It's very important when you come to your answer sheet, you start again. You're having how many people? 12 people. You put there 12 people. Then you come. It says number of normal hours worked by each factory workers during the year. It means these are number of hours they have worked. So in order for you to get the total production, you must check you're having how many numbers and how long do they work. Then this is how you're going to do it. Then you go to your answer sheet, you multiply these people by the numbers of hours they're working, of which is 1,600. Then you come again, you say number of overtime hours worked by each factory. Let us forget about this one for now, because we want to check only the direct and the normal hours before we can move to overtime. So we'll come back to this one, or we can rather say overtime here, overtime, and then we say it's still 12 people multiplied by 240 hours of overtime. Okay, then we say wage rate for normal. It means, it says wage rate for normal 60 rand. That means we must go back there to how many people? To 12 people that we had. So we are going to say 12 people multiply by the number of hours they have worked. You again multiply by the price per hour, of which is 60 rand. So it's the number of employees we are having, multiply by the 1,600 number of hours they have worked, and then you multiply by the 60 rand per hour. Remember, you're calculating, you as the employer, as to how much are you going to pay out to these people. So you must calculate it like this. We're having so many people and they're working for so many hours, and in 1 hour it costs them this much. So you must multiply there. When you multiply, you're going to have a sum of 1,152,000. Then you say 1,152,000. 1,152,000. You say the number of workers you're having, of which is 12, multiply by 1,600, of which is the number of normal hours worked, and then you multiply by 60 rand, because it's 60 rand per hour. Then you are going to get 1,152,000. Easy, ne? Okay. Moving to overtime. Overtime, we agreed we are having 12 workers. They all worked overtime. And then in overtime hours, it's 240. It's here, 240 number of overtime hours worked by each factory workers during the year. That means each of them worked this hours, 240. And then again, you check how much is it per hour in overtime. The normal is 60 rand. That means in overtime, an hour is no more 60 rand, because it's 100 rand, because it's overtime. Therefore, you come to your answer sheet, you multiply by 100. Let's see. 12 people have worked 240 hours, and then each hour is 100 rand. Therefore, you are going to get a total of 288,000. 288,000. This is what you get. Let's check if these people had got a UIF or a skills development levy. Then we are moving back to the question paper. And this UIF contribution to be allocated for specific account cost, or they have divided them accordingly. The other one is for factory workers. These people are directly involved. It means they form part of what? Direct labor cost. Then we come in here. We saying UIF. How much is their UIF? You coming back here. UIF, it's 11,520. Then you say 11,520. And then you check, do they have SDL, Skills Development Levy? No, it's only UIF here, so there is no Skills Development Levy. Therefore, you add all the totals to get the total direct labor. Let's check. We're having 1,152,000 plus 288,000 plus 11,520. Then you will have 1,451,520. That is your answer. So this is the total for direct labor cost. I just want to show you how they mark. They give you 2 marks for the workings in the bracket, and they give you 2 marks again for the workings in the bracket there, and they give you 1 mark, and for the total they give you 1 mark. If it's not correct, if it's correct, they give you 2 marks. So you will be having your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You will be having your 7 marks again. So it is so easy for you to score 7 marks. What I want to show here is, even if you got these calculations wrong, you have 1 mark for adding. So it means you'll be having 1 out of 7, of which is still too much. You can get marks by just adding. Use your calculator. Be a friend to your calculator. So the factory wages work like this, and then over time it's like this, then UIF. It doesn't matter. Other learners will prefer to have this calculation in bracket somewhere here and this one in bracket somewhere here, and they just transfer the total. It's still fine in that case. You'll have your 4 marks for that total that you'll have. Some people will just decide to add these 2, and they will have factory wages as 1,440,000. So they will be having this marks. Then you'll have your total 4 marks for this answer, and then that will be your 5, 6, and 7. So you'll still have the total of 7 marks. But for others, they will do it in the bracket. So I think the direct labor cost is clear. Then moving to the third question. The third question wants you to calculate the factory overhead cost. Bullet number 3, 16 marks. Factory overhead cost. Then you come to your answer sheet. Remember, your answer sheet is there. Then you go to your question paper to check what is it that you can put as part of factory overheads. Factory overheads. What do you have there? The first aspect will be your indirect material. Indirect material. Where do you get it? You go to the first question, the first requirements, the first answer sheet. Here you are. The stock balances. You have this one, we have already used it, and then we are coming to factory indirect stock. We must use this one. 208 and 209. Which one comes first? Is 8. 8 means is the opening, and then 9 means is the closing. So this is how you're going to do it in your paper. Indirect material. You have your opening. Opening is how much? Your opening is how much? Your opening is 8,000. Your opening is 8,100. Then you come to your answer sheet. You do 8,100. It's your opening there. And then remember, you must add what happened during the year, and you must subtract at the end. So you also have your closing there. Your closing is how much? 7,400. Therefore, you write 7,400. Let's check what happened during the year. Let's go to your additional information. Additional information. We manage, here's the wages, we managed to deal with them, is the UIF. Then you move, we say, factory indirect material purchases. It's how much? 125,900. Because you can see it's UIF, we have dealt with it, wages and salaries. Then we move to factory indirect material purchases, 125,900. They were purchased when? During the year. That is the amount that you must add here of 125,900. You say 8,100. Let's go to our calculators. 8,100 you add 125,900. 125,900. Then you subtract your closing of 7,400. Then you will be having how much? 126,600. This is your total for the indirect material under factory overheads. Then moving to indirect what? Labor. Remember, with factory overheads, we are dealing with the indirects. Then you move to indirect labor. Indirect labor. I know you know what is this stands for. It stands for indirect labor. Then we open your bracket. Go back there. Indirect labor. People that are not directly involved. Salaries. Factory foreman. This person is not directly involved. Ne? So you must take him where? To the factory overheads. Then we have your 241,000. Then we check. Do we have any indirect labor there? Under wages. Under wages. Factory workers in production process. No. That one, it doesn't affect us. And then factory workers, this one we are done with it. We have already dealt with it. Factory foreman. Under what? UIF. This person is also the UIF of who? Of that man. Is how much? 2,410. It's basically what? The 1%. Then you add the 2,410. Then use your calculator. You say 241,000. 241,000. 241,000 plus 2,410, and then you'll be having what? 243,410. 243,410. You know, it's the total. I can't put it under that one. I'll put it just here because this is the total, the column for the total. I didn't have enough space. That is why I inserted it somewhere there. And then moving again, what else do we have under factory overheads? You must come here. What else do we have under factory overheads? If you can see on this one, I've already underlined the factory, I've already underlined the sales, and I've already underlined the office, trying to show you that the office, it is the admin. So what I'm doing here, I'm starting to check what is it that belongs here. This one is already done, and then we are coming. Sales, this one is under sales and distribution. We pass it, and then we come to this one. We've already dealt with it. This one we pass it, and advertising. Advertising falls where? Under sales and distribution, because those people are the ones that are responsible for advertising. Factory what? Factory maintenance. Here is factory maintenance. The maintenance is what? For the factory. Therefore, you'll have what? Your maintenance. You'll have your maintenance. Where is maintenance? It's here. It's how much? 85,000. 85,000. Then we are moving again. Bad debt. Remember on the slides that I showed you, bad debt does not form part of manufacturing, because we cannot have bad debts in the manufacturing. Bad debts are those people that you sold to and that are not able to do what? To pay you back. So what is happening? They will appear under sales and distribution, because you have to sell to them in order for you to do what? In order for them to be what? Your bad debts. I pass it. Rent to be allocated. Rent to be allocated in proportion of floor spaces. Remember, when I leave the session before you can go to break, I told you about what? About the spacing. Dividing them according to spacing. They said you refer to information number 5. Let's go down and check number 5. Here is your information number 5. They said to use square meters. 1,200 is for the factory, 600 is for the office, and 600 is for what? For the sales department. So this is the space. What we have to do, you can add them. 1,200 plus 600 is 1.8 plus 600 is 2,400. So it means you'll be having, because you are dealing with the factory, you'll be having 1,200 divide by 4,200, of which it is what? It is half of that. So that is how you're going to do your spacing. You go to your additional information. Not additional information, you go to your factory overheads. And factory overheads, you're going to have your what? Your rent expenses. You open bracket, you go there. How much was their rent? 133,000. You write 133,123. Multiply by the spacing. The spacing. Some people will say by half, because 1,200 over 4,400 is half. Or some people will say by 1,200 divided by 2,400. Or some people will say by 50%. So it doesn't matter how you do it, but as long as you understand it, and you will get to the same answer. It's 133,000 by half, or by 1,200 divided by 2,400, or by 50%. Therefore, let's calculate it together. We are having 133,000, 133,000 multiply by 1,200 divide by 2,400. You are going to have 66,500. So your total will be 66,500. And then you move to the other thing that you have here. You have your bins stolen on rent. These bins are stolen. So for now, let's pass them. Move to water and electricity. Water and electricity is how much? 36,000. They say you refer to information number 6. Let's have here, it's water and electricity, open bracket. Water and electricity, it's how much? Check here, water and electricity, 36,000. Then you will be having your 36,000. Then you multiply the 36,000 that you have with what you are going to gain here. Water and electricity. They say 15% is amount allocated to what? To office. Remember, I said the manufacturing is divided into 3 sections. The first section will be, here they said this one is office, and then 15% is for the office, 25% is for what? Sales department. That means it's 25 for what? For sales. And then office is the same as what? Admin. And then that means the other one is for what? For factory. Then they say 15% of the amount is allocated for office, that is 15, and 25 for sales department. When you add the two together, 15 plus 25 will give you how much? Will give you 40. So you must subtract from 100, of which is the total percentage. 100 minus 40 will have 60. So the 60 is the rest. The rest of which is the 60. 60 will remain for the what? For the factory. So hence why when you go to your answer sheet, you say 36,000 multiply by 60 out of 100. Let's see how much do we have there. 36,000 multiply by 60% or 60 over 100. You will have 21,600. And then moving again and see what we have again. This one we have already used it. And then factory on depreciation on factory equipment. Factory equipment. It means we are dealing with factory overheads. It is part of that. Depreciation on factory. How much is the depreciation? How much is the depreciation on factory? It's 52,000. So you must write it here, 52,000. Then you check again. What else do you have? Sundry admin expenses. This forms part of what? Administration. Then let's check here. Sundry what? Factory. You see the word factory? No, it goes to manufacturing overheads. And then you're having sundry expenses. Sundry expenses, we agreed from the information here, additional information, we take it as it is, 25,000. And then we're having 25,000. Then let's see the total. Let's add everything together. 126,000 plus 243,410 plus 85,000 plus 66,500 plus 21,600 plus 52,000 plus 25,000. How much is the total? Your total is 620, 110. So I'm going to show you as to how do you get your 16 marks. If you can check there, the total is 16 marks. Remember, I told you the importance of putting things in bracket. Can you see that with indirect material you have 4 marks? It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you see you have 4 marks out of 16? It's too much. 4 marks is 25% of 16. And then you come to indirect labor. Indirect labor, you have 1, you have 2, you have 3. 3 marks under indirect labor. Then you move to what? To maintenance. Maintenance, it's as simple as that. It didn't have any adjustment. You have your 1 mark. Coming to rent. To rent expenses, you having full 3 marks. Full 3 marks for just that. The spacing. You know, it was just a simple adjustment, because everything, if you check here on the question, everything is there. 1,200, 600, 600. You just have to add the 2. It's the spacing. So it's very simple. You just get 3 marks for that multiplication. Then moving to water and electricity. Water and electricity, you have your 2 marks, 21,600. Water and electricity, it was also an easy adjustment. This one, where you have your 15 for office or admin, and then you have your 25 for sales and distribution, and the rest, the word, the rest, mean the remaining 60. For just calculating that, you have 21,600. And then coming to depreciation, it was an easy adjustment. It goes as it is. And then sundry expenses also as it is. So let's calculate and see, okay, the total, you will be marked 1 mark for wrong totals, for wrong amounts and correct total. And then you'll have another mark for correct. So let's see if we can get 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 marks. Ne? We're having 16 marks for that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, here they just marked 1. They just marked 1. This or that. Then you'll be having what? Your 16 marks. So it is as easy as that to get your 16 marks. These are the 3 notes that you can get 7 marks, 7 marks, 16 marks. Then you'll be having a total of your 30 marks all in all. It is as easy as it is. Then let's go back to the question again and check what is it that we should prepare. They said to you, you should prepare the production cost statement, which takes how much? 10 marks. Let's see how do we prepare our production cost statement. You go to your answer sheet for the production cost statement, and you open your answer sheet, and then you go to your prepared statement. You have your prepared statement with you. Here is your prepared statement. So let's see, how do we write production cost statement? This one is easy. They've already given you some of the skeleton. Some of the skeleton is there for you. It's already there. Yours is just to remember, if you are having material here, what is it that is missing? Labor. Easy. Then you'll be having direct labor. You'll be having direct labor. And then you'll be having what? Your prime cost. After your prime cost, you are going to have what? Your manufacturing overheads or factory overheads. Factory overheads. Then from there, you'll be having total cost of production, and you will be having work in progress for the first March that time, and work in progress at the end. At the beginning, 208 comes before 9. At the beginning and at the end. Then you can fit in the skeleton. But if you know your skeleton, I just want to show you, you have already 2 marks. For writing this direct labor, and don't write DL please, write it in full, it's direct labor. If you are a learner, you don't have to write DL. You write direct labor. So you'll be having 2 marks for factory overheads and for direct labor. So this is how you do it. You go to your work that you have done before, of which is here. If you see note number 1, note number 1 here, that is where you are supposed to calculate your direct raw material cost. Direct raw material cost is here. You take this amount as it is. You take this amount as it is, so that you can be able to have your correct marks. It doesn't matter if it's wrong. Here it's your direct raw material. There you go. 1, 6, 5, 2, 1, 0, 0. You see? You have taken it just from here to here, to your production cost statement. And then you move to direct labor. Direct labor, we're saying you're taking the total as well. Direct labor, how much is your direct labor? 1,451,520. You go 1,451,520. There you are. What is it that you should do after completing these 2 things? You add them together. Let's press our calculators and add them together. 1,652,100 plus 1,451,520. Do we get the same answer? Yes. Our answer is 3,103,620. I hope you got the same answer. If you didn't, repress it, please. Okay? Then moving to factory overheads. What do you do with factory overheads? Likewise, you move again to your prepared work that you prepared beforehand. There you are. Your prepared work, factory overhead. We did it together, where we had indirect material, where we had labor, where we had maintenance and everything. Then our total was 620,100. You come with that total. You come. Because it's factory overheads, you write it here. How much is the total again? Total for this one, it's 620,110. So what do you do again? You add the 2 again. After adding, add. You have your total already. Just press 620,110. How much is your total? 3,723,730. This is how it goes. And then you check. Work in progress. When? 208. It means when? At the beginning. Then we move to our question paper. There we are. Work in progress. Work in progress. I said 208 and 209. Which one comes first? 8. Which one is opening? The one that comes from 8. Which one is closing? The one that comes from 9. There we go. The one that we must take as opening, work in progress, is 169,500. You bring it here. Just transferring and getting marks. 169,500. 69,500. You just transferring, taking here from there, from here to there. You just transferring 169,500. You see, you bring it here, 169,500, and then after that you add the two together. After adding the two together, you have this number already on your calculator. Just press 169,500. You add 169,500, 169,500, and your total will be 3,893,230. So after doing that, you go back again on your question paper. You check. How much is your work in progress at the end? 120,600. Remember, the closings are subtracted. Put in the bracket. And it's how much? 120,600. 120,600. Therefore, you should subtract from the total that you have. Let's subtract. How much do you have? 3,772,630. So you have finished your production cost statement. You have all your 10 marks for free. Let me tell you. Let me show you why do I say it's for free. It's your 10 marks for free. Let's mark together now again. Remember, you took this as it is from the production cost statement. Then you come in and put it here. Then for that, you have your 1 mark circled. Even if it's wrong here, you bring it as wrong as it is here. You have your 1 mark. Again, the second mark. Even if it's wrong here, you come with the wrong marks here. You have your 2 marks. Then for adding these 2, even if they are wrong, you have a mark. How nice, eh? You have a mark for adding that. Then you have your factory overheads. You come here. Even if it's wrong here, you have a mark. You see? As easy as that. Then for adding these 2, you also have a mark. Then coming to work in progress. Work in progress, there is no way that you'll get it wrong. Remember, it's given. You took it as given as here, like now. Then from taking it here to here, it's another mark. No calculation. It's another mark. Sorry, you don't have to circle. It's just a mark. And then the total, this one is so obvious. Let me not give you a mark. Coming to this one, just transferring it, it's also a mark. And then this one also, it's also a mark. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Can you see that you got your 10 marks? It's so simple for you to get these 10 marks without working hard for it, because it's just a transfer. We are just checking your knowledge. If you are able to know how is the production cost statement done, if you are able to know the contents, or where do we take the production cost statement from. Then coming to the other question. The other question here says to you, calculate the unit cost of production per plastic bin completed. This one is the easy one. Let's work it out again together. What is it that you use here? You use this amount that you got here. Remember, even if you got the wrong number, use it as wrong as it is. You say 3, this is your, let's say, start with the formula, cost of production of finished goods. You don't have to write this. I'm the only one to write this. You write the whole thing. Cost of production for finished goods divide by the number of units produced. Number of units produced. This one. Units produced. units produced. Let's go. Let's check. How much is the cost of production of finished goods? 3,772,630. You divide by what? Units produced. 58,000. You say 58,000. How much is the answer there? Let's press the calculators together. 7,372,630. Divide by 58,000. You will be having 65 rand 5 cents. I know you won't disappoint me. The question says calculate unit cost per plastic bin. Per plastic bin. It means we are calculating what? Unit cost per plastic bin completed. We are looking for money. Money. Remember to put R for the rents. Remember to put R for the rents. Calculate unit cost per plastic. Per plastic. It means you must calculate money, the rents. Remember, the units are very important. And then, I think with that one, you would have scored so many marks. Then let's move to the second part of it, of which it is the last part of our topic. This one is the last part, 3.2. It has 3.1 and 3.2. So we are moving to 3.2. 3.2, this business make plastic vuvuzelas. The information below relates to that company. So we must work it out. I'm looking for my answer sheet. Here's my answer sheet. I want us to work together on that particular answer sheet. They say, give one example of a fixed cost and one example of a variable cost. This one is so easy. We are having number of vuvuzela produced. We are having sales for the year. What is fixed? I've made an example for you. Remember that rent is always fixed. That can be an example. That can be an example of fixed. It can be rent. It can be an example of fixed. What else can be fixed? Salaries. You pay those people the same salary every month. It doesn't matter how many are bought or how many is not bought. I've taken the wrong answer sheet. Sorry for that. I've just seen it now. Okay, it's here. The correct answer sheet is still this one. Fixed. With fixed, we agreed the rent, it's fixed. It doesn't matter whether you have produced enough goods or not enough. The rent is fixed. If we agreed that we sign a list that you must pay 20 rand per month, you will pay that 20 rand. Another example that can be what? Salaries. You pay those people the same salary every time. It doesn't matter. It will just depend on what you agreed on. Then coming to another example of variables. The variables can be what? Raw material. Raw materials. They are fixed. They are variable. Why do I say they are variable? If you have to buy 2 rolls for making 20 vuvuzela, when we are supposed to make 60 vuvuzela, it means this must be multiplied to get how many rolls should you buy? How many rolls should you buy? If you are using 20, if you are using 2 rolls to make 20 vuvuzela, how many rolls will you need for 60? How many rolls will you need for 60? How many? You just have to cross, multiply and divide by that. Then you'll just see that you'll need more rolls. They varies according to what you want. So we just do cross multiplication. So let's move again to 3.22 time. It's not on our side. Explain why it is important to calculate the expected break-even point for the business before the start of the financial year. Interesting, eh? Why is it important? Why is it important? Break-even point. Remember break-even point. Why do we calculate break-even point? We want to see how many we have manufactured. And we want to see if we are going to manufacture at a loss or at a profit. Remember, the aim of the business is to do what? To make a profit. So first of all, what is it? Why they said explain why is it important to calculate expected break-even point. Why is it important? To determine the minimum number of units to produce so that you can prevent to lose. You determine, you check the number of units to produce so that you can prevent the loss. It must not be there at all. And then the other reason can be what? You can see the potential problems beforehand. Foresee them. You see them beforehand. Another reason can be what? To determine enough products to set the production level to cover all costs. So there can be so many reasons for you to calculate the break-even point. Or some people can say to compile a budget. That can be other reason. But 1 mark for that one, not 2 marks. To compile a budget, you can calculate the break-even point. To prevent low profits or losses, can be that. And then to produce enough products. If you know that by producing this product, I will not meet my break-even point, that means it will encourage you to produce more products. Then another one, use the figure above to calculate the break-even point. These figures that we have, you are asked to use them to produce break-even point. I said the formula for that is what? The formula for break-even points. It's there. Let's go. We said the formula is how much? It's the total fixed cost divide by what? By sales less variable. Let's go. How much is our total fixed cost? 210,000. No. Yes, 210,000. 210,000. How many zeros? 4 zeros. Yes, I'm right. Divide. Let's check. They say variables. All manufactured units were sold at 420. Variable cost at 300,000. So now since we don't have the two, how are we going to deal with it? We must use what we have. The number of vuvuzela, ne? And what? And the total variable cost. That is how you should do it. Let's check our sales. We are having 480,000. That is our sales, 480,000. Divide by 12 vuvuzela. That means our sales is 40. This is how I've done it. I said number of our sales, of which is 48. There is our sales. 480,000. So I'm going to do it here. 480,000 divide by what? By 12,000. What is this 12,000? The number of vuvuzelas. So it is by 12,000. How much do you get? That means your sales for vuvuzela will be 40. Are we together? Then you must subtract what? The variable. Then the variable is not given. Oh my God, where should I start? Then we start. We're saying variables. Variables is how much? How many? It's total variables? 300,000. There you go. I want to do it this side. 300,000. There it is. It says total variable is 300,000. Then we say 300,000. You divide by what? The number of vuvuzela again. Let's check. How much do we have? 300,000. How many zeros? 5 zeros. Divide by 12,000. Then you'll be having how much? 25. Then you say minus 25. This 25 comes from this. Ne? Then you'll have a total of how much? 40 minus 25. You'll have a total of how much? 15. There you go. You divide to get your break-even point. 210,000 divide by 15. Then you'll be having how much? 14,000 units. 14,000 units. You'll be having your 14,000 units. That is how we calculate our break-even point. Let's check. Use the figure above to calculate break-even point. We have your 5 marks. Sales variables 40 minus 25. Then we'll be having 110 as your total fixed cost. Divide by 15,000 and then you get 14,000 units. So it means you will be having that much. Then the last question on that one. They say to you, you must comment on your calculation in question 3.23. What advice would you offer coal manufacturers? Briefly explain. This 3 marks shouldn't go just like that. You must briefly explain. Let's see. What are you going to say? You check. You compare the break-even point. The business, is it happy with the way it has produced? We say the business is not producing enough units. They are below the break-even point, meaning that the business will be making a loss. Why do we say that? It's making a... Because we check the number produced. The number produced of Vuvuzela. It was supposed to produce how many units? It was supposed to produce 14,000 units. But it has only produced how many? 12,000 units. So obviously the business is not working well. The owner of the business is not happy at all. So what you should do when you comment, you say that the business is not producing enough. It's not producing enough. The business is not producing enough because it has produced below the break-even point of 14,000. So they said to you, you should advise. What should they do? They should find a cheaper supplier. And what else should they do? Maybe they should advertise. There are so many reasons that you can put in there. Maybe they should advertise, and maybe they should do what? Increase selling price or change the supplier. You know, there are so many reasons that you can put there. So by that, you would have received your total of 55 marks. I just want to show you how easy are things and how easy can you pass the manufacturing topic. Just make sure that you touch all the previous question papers on manufacturing, because if you practice, they say practice makes perfect. If you practice many questions, you'll be able to know how the manufacturing topic is asked in different ways. I think we have reached the end of our revision for today. And then thank you very much for your time. And I would like to thank you. See you again next time.